If any of you guys have spent as much time in Ready or Not as I have, you've probably noticed that the base game can get a little bit stale after a while. And honestly, that's sort of the case with just about any game, right? You know, no matter how big the world is or how many missions there are, eventually, after enough hours and enough playthroughs, things start to feel a bit repetitive. Luckily for us though, Ready or Not has a vibrant modding community that lets us tailor the game to our own unique preferences, keeping it fresh and exciting long after the game's initial release. So today, I thought that it'd be sort of cool to talk about some of my favorite Ready or Not mods, and hopefully give you guys a couple of ideas on what you might want to add into your own game. So with that being said, please, by all means, make yourself comfortable, grab yourself something to drink, and accompany me as we investigate the best Ready or Not mods available. Now first up on today's list is probably the most popular Ready or Not mod out there, Gunfighter. Now, if you guys aren't already familiar with it, Gunfighter overhauls just about every aspect of the game, and it makes a lot of Ready or Not's features feel more realistic and true to life. For example, many of the weapon animations in the game have been completely redone, and instead of holding your gun perfectly level with the ground, you'll now notice a much more natural tilted stance. And while it might seem like a small detail at first, it really does add a lot to the overall feel of the game. Movement speed has also been tweaked in this mod, and you'll find that you move a bit quicker than you do in the base game. However, this extra speed comes at a price, and injuries are now much more punishing. If you get shot early on in a mission, you'll be limping along at a snail's pace for the rest of it. And personally, you know, I sort of love that. To me, it adds a whole new layer of tension, where being shot in the game actually matters, and you can't just brush off injuries like they never happened. Gunfighter also introduces several other additions, like a new flashbang grenade, extra equipment slots, and even new weapons. Honestly, I could make an entire video talking about just this mod alone, so if you were to pick up only one mod from the list today, Gunfighter would be my top recommendation. Now for this next section, I wanted to do a bit of a throwback and take a look at some of the map mods that were inspired by SWAT 4. Now, as the name here suggests, these mods bring back some of the iconic levels from SWAT 4 into Ready or Not, and my personal favorite of the bunch is the Children of Tyrone remaster by Aerostatic. Now, I might be a little bit biased here because this was my favorite mission from SWAT 4, but the remake here hasn't lost any of the original's charm. In fact, now that the level's modernized, it might be even creepier now than it was then. The mission follows a suicide cult on the brink of something truly horrific, and without giving too much away here, it ends on a note darker than just about anything we've seen in Ready or Not. Definitely be sure to check that one out if you haven't already. Now, switching gears here for a bit, let's talk about a mod that focuses a bit more on the visual side of things, Recorded or Not. This mod adds in a body cam style filter that you can toggle on or off. Now, technically it is just a filter and doesn't alter camera placement or behavior, unfortunately. But it does capture that grainy, distorted look that you see in games like Body Cam and Unrecord. It's a really simple mod, but if you're after that immersive, realistic aesthetic, this one is fantastic to have in your loadout. Now, I don't know if you guys are anything like me, but way too often in Ready or Not, I'll find myself in the locker room playing Barbie with Judge, trying to see what gear looks the coolest. And don't get me wrong, the base game has some really great customization options, but it never hurts to add a few more. That's where the Better Vests mod comes in. This mod actually lets you customize the layout of specific tactical vests, allowing you to move around the positions of your radios and other equipment. In the base game, most of your customization is sort of limited to changing the camo pattern on these, so being able to actually adjust the placement of specific gear is a really nice touch. It makes your loadout feel just a little bit more personal. On top of that, there's also the Casual Polo Shirts mod, which adds in a variety of new shirts that your character can wear underneath their rig. And honestly, I really love this one because it sort of gives off the vibe that your character was caught in the middle of their day, off duty, and suddenly something horrible happened and they had to come in and respond to it. That sort of thing feels super fitting for the world of Ready or Not. And plus, you know, the mod lets you cosplay as Tony Soprano if you want to. So yeah, check it out. Now, no mod video would be complete without talking about a few weapon mods. But as we all all know, I don't really know shit when it comes to guns, but when it comes to talking about weapons, there is one component that I am an expert of: the cool factor. And that's what I have here today, right? These aren't weapons that you would ever reasonably see in a SWAT operation, but they look really fucking cool, so we're gonna talk about them for a bit. The first is the PKM machine gun mod. Have you ever walked in the Valley of the Dolls and wondered, hey, I wish I could unload 150 rounds into Amos Vol's face right now? Well, now you can. With the PKM machine gun mod, we're given a fully customizable PKM that can lay down suppressing fire for up to 12 seconds straight. That's insane. When you use this gun, your experience isn't so much of yelling at people to get on the ground as it is putting people in the ground. Now, in my opinion, this mod pairs really well with the Desert Eagle mod by Christian, which is equally as devastating. When I first downloaded it, I shot a guy with this and his face literally evaporated. But what the hell, Isaac, you might be saying? Why would you suggest us gun mods in a game where your score is actively punished for using them? Well, that's where our next mod comes in. The No Mercy for Terrorists mod adds in a very simple, albeit necessary change to Ready or Not. It makes it to where when you kill a suspect, you'll no longer be penalized. The mod does this by removing the unauthorized force penalty, which means that even if a suspect dies, so long as you did everything else right, you'll still get an S rank. Something that I never really liked in this game was that it would penalize you for killing active shooters. A group of people could actively be murdering others in a nightclub. Men could be charging at you with literal suicide vests, but if you didn't somehow take them in alive, your grade would suffer. This mod finally gets rid of that, so now you're able to go into the operation as loud and as violent as you want. Now next up is probably my all-time favorite mod for this game, and it's the Console Unlocker by Quantum Nuke 75. As someone who's constantly making content for this game, I need a reliable way to get clean, steady camera shots, and while Ready or Not does have a built-in replay system, it's not nearly as smooth or user-friendly as this mod is. A lot of times the in-game camera is too fast, clunky, or just doesn't capture the angle that I'm aiming for. But the Console Unlocker camera mod comes with a ton of built-in tools that make recording gameplay significantly easier. And it's because of this mod that I'm able to bring you guys the Ready or Not content that you see on my channel. Literally all of my videos use it. So if you're someone who likes to record cinematic gameplay or just grab cool screenshots, this is one that you'll definitely want to check out. Okay, so last but certainly not least on today's list is the Maple Valley High School map by Hadron 90. Now this mod definitely isn't for the faint of heart, because it's probably the most accurate depiction of a school shooting that I've ever seen in a game. Unlike the level Elephant that we see in the base game, this level features a ton of civilians and just one single shooter. Sometimes the map will spawn in 2 shooters, and a few times even a small group of terrorists, but the vast majority of my playthroughs, I only encountered 1 shooter, which aligns a lot more with how these attacks pan out in reality. I also find it worth mentioning that the environment in this level is really well put together, and the architecture of the building makes you feel like you're clearing an actual high school. And combine this with some of the mods that I mentioned earlier in today's video, and you'll come away with something that's scarily realistic.
Just don't hurt anyone else. All right, just get the hell out of here.
Police, you're under arrest! Entry team to talk. We have a dead suspect here.
So there you have it, a complete list of mods that can hopefully breathe a bit more life into your game while we all wait for the new update and console release. Be sure to let me know what you guys think of them though. Are there any that you think I missed? Is my mod list completely trash? Let me know down in the comments below. Finally though, if you want to stay in touch with me and my community, consider joining my Discord. It's completely free, and there you can stay in touch with the channel and even suggest topics for upcoming videos, so be sure to check it out. I'll have a link to that down in the description below. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch today's video. You know I love you. I'm out.